Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
Yeah, and this is episode number 352.
352.
Of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mousefan Travel. They have been so busy lately modifying guest vacations as the parks here have been opening. And some resorts over at Universal, you can see most of the resorts there are open. And I recommend checking out especially their Facebook page right now for up-to-date information. They post on that pretty much every day. And they're professional travel advisors, so they can help you guide you through those new regulations and hopefully helps reduce some of the stress of a trip, which right now I don't think Walt Disney World resorts, except for
DVC
and Fort Wilderness, are opening. Like, I don't think there's really anything being booked too much yet. But you could book over at Universal for the resorts there.
Right, and I know you can alter reservations at Walt Disney World. I just saw something about that, so I'm sure they will fully know all about it.
Right, that's what I was saying, the modification process.
Right.
So anyway, check them out either at their website or Facebook or Twitter.
So we're going to start off at Universal Orlando. We attempted to go first thing in the morning on the 3rd for the pass holder preview day that we had signed up for.
And you can see a lot of cars here, and pass holder events usually are more crowded than, let's say, a regular day.
Right.
But when we got to the garage, it was a mess. It was too many people being parked. It was too many guests piling onto the onto the escalators, and then too many kind of bunched together over the temperature check. So I'm like, you know what? No. So we left and we went to Disney Springs.
But we did return, which was not the original plan, but we saw that things were much better later on in the day.
Right. I mean, we went back in the early afternoon, but first we headed, we just mentioned, to Disney Springs. Once Upon a Toy was open, and the nice thing was you had, the social distancing thing going on because it wasn't busy at all. And then, what I thought was interesting about Once Upon a Toy, it sort of felt like things hadn't changed a lot, except for the distancing and certainly the more open.
Right.
But as far as merchandise, Onward, and of course then the decorations for like Toy Story 4, which is a year old.
Yeah, they even said the merchandise hadn't really changed. They just moved some things over to the World of Disney previous to this reopening. So it's kind of like going back in time when we were in there.
That's how I felt. I mean, they didn't have the Onward stuff outside the store anymore, but inside I just thought it was interesting because I felt like we were still maybe a little bit in March.
Yes. So also we were walking around and we noticed that Ghirardelli is now opened, and you can see the distancing with the seats outside. In the past, the seats were at least double, maybe triple the chairs and tables all kind of pushed together.
Right. And Ghirardelli, I don't know as far as I don't think they're going to be doing samples and stuff right now. I mean, I have no idea what they're doing, but I know a lot of people have been looking for those Sundays lately.
Now, I had looked as Cooks of Dublin was to open, but I'm not quite sure it opened this day. I think it opened the day after this.
It was supposed to open on the 3rd, which is what this was. But I looked inside and like nothing was going on, and it would have opened within an hour. So then it was like, I don't know, I think it did open on the 4th instead.
So after our little visit to Disney Springs, we headed back to Universal Orlando.
This was much better. We're really trying to be careful. I really thought we were going to spend most of June in the house mostly. Mm-hmm. Instead, we've gone to Disney Springs 5 times. We've been to Universal, and we've been to Legoland twice in the last couple of weeks. But, as much as we really like to get out, we also like to be very careful. And in this case,
what a good choice this was. I mean, it's spectacular.
Really good. Mm-hmm. It was much better to come back.
And plus, people were leaving. I loved that because it was starting to rain a little bit, and I think it thinned out the crowds.
I think it was a combination of things. I mean, guests had been there already for a number of hours. Plus, the weather was threatening, as it is Florida, and we're getting a lot of rain right now.
So I think what really made the day for me was the fact that they had the characters out, and some of the face characters were even wearing masks, which I know was,
like Spider-Man.
Spider-Man always has the mask, and I know the other face characters with masks was a bit controversial, but having them out there again was great. It was normalcy to me. It really made the day. You could see Olive Oil and Popeye here fully wearing their masks, and I like how the masks kind of go with their costumes too.
And I don't think it was that controversial. I mean, there were some guests or some people on my Twitter and all who didn't like it, but most did. And we went to the Raptor Encounter, which is in a new location. and they have two dinosaurs. One is blue, and one is a smaller one named Sierra, a baby dinosaur.
And you could see the social distancing in line. It wasn't always perfect, but I think overall it worked pretty good.
It doesn't go back far enough. There's
Right.
not enough markers.
Exactly.
It's, you know, that there's things that still need to be worked on.
Here is Sierra, the dino, or the little baby dinosaur there.
Yeah, and you know,
Raptor.
it's really fun to see. Like, we went to Universal Hollywood last year, and I mean, they have more dinosaurs there. They have a Triceratops and all, but this is still a really fun encounter. And it's nice to have a couple different dinos now.
Right, and blue is always a favorite of mine, or any of the raptors that meet like this, behind the shrubs like this. I think it's great. It's very different than the way they do it at Universal Hollywood. They don't have shrubs or anything. You see the full raptor come out and menace you as you're getting your pictures.
Well, not just raptor, again, Triceratops or...
Well, no, but this part, part
right.
where you meet the, scary dino.
But in Universal, I mean, they have a couple smaller ones.
Yes.
I mean, they really take it to another level. But again, this is incredible. Like, it's really a fantastic encounter, but it was raining on and off, so it took us a little while to get up here.
And you can see his trainer, the handlers and everybody, all are fully masked. Everybody was masked, and that was not an issue at all. The issue was this dinosaur here who is very scary to us.
Well, I didn't get that close, and actually you didn't either. I mean, it looks like you're up there, but there is a marker.
Right.
Anywhere that there are characters, there's distancing markers. And I think especially with pass holders, I think, are knowledgeable ahead of time as to what you're looking for. It will be interesting when more tourists show up and see how that goes.
Yeah, I look forward to going back early this week. I can't wait, actually. We're going to try some food. We'll try, outdoor dining if it seems easy and safe and all. So I can't wait to go back.
Well, we're doing Universal probably and SeaWorld this coming week. So again, I thought June was an in month.
Things have sped up.
Yeah, so we've done quite a lot lately. And
so let's look at this coaster here. This is the new Jurassic World area is having a coaster. They haven't announced any of this yet, but it's pretty clear.
They still call it Jurassic Park area.
Correct.
So, they have been Universal's been working on this the whole time they've been closed. So there's a big difference between when Universal closed versus now, as far as, how far along this is. And I think they call it like the Velocicoaster on the trademark. And
it's progressed. I mean, it's far more along than this, and this was just only a few days ago. So they are really going full force on putting this track together.
It's nice, it's nice to see projects move ahead. And I think for some reason I thought it was for maybe next year, but I don't think they've really announced anything about it.
This was fun. I always like going into Seuss Landing, and the Green Eggs and Ham still open. And I was so excited to see it open when we were there around Christmas, but yet it is still open. We can get some Who Hash.
Yeah, and yes.
That's what we can do when we go back.
Yeah.
A couple cans of Who Hash.
No, I'm not into
Lunch
that.
at its finest.
So this is one of the social distanced. But there's so many meet and greets and so many interactions.
Meet and greet.
That's what I'm saying is that it's
interaction.
I call them character interactions. So here, or character experiences, they're kind of dancing. There's music, and you've got Sam I Am, you've got the Lorax, you've got the Grinch, and then they also swap out with like Cat in the Hat, and I didn't see who else was with Cat in the Hat, but probably Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Yeah, I think the Things, yeah.
So it's really fun, they interact with you. You're not going to go up and hug them, but I still think it's a fun. You can get a picture, you stand on a dot, and then you get a picture.
Yeah, you can. It's mainly for selfies or just pictures in front of the stage. I think it's a great, great compromise. Really kudos to Universal Orlando for doing this. I hope Disney actually keeps the characters or comes up with a way that you can still see them.
I think
Even
they
like
will.
King Julien up here. What a nice surprise. I know you can't hug them right now. You can't get a picture right next to them with them. But boy, it was so nice. For me, I loved seeing the characters that made the day, as I said earlier.
And I think that SeaWorld in the Sesame Street area is going to have something similar where you're not hugging them, but you're, a little bit further away from them. King Julien was fun. We spent way too much time, photographing him, but he was just dancing.
And we hear Poe also comes out on this bridge, so we'll look for him next time. Then we headed over to Universal, the actual Universal Studios Park.
Right, and so it looks like we got a lot of characters this day. I imagine we got like a third of them. There are so many characters that swap out. We're in in the main store here. Hello Kitty is out.
Hello Kitty.
But the main store, while we're looking at Hello Kitty, again,
had
social
distance markers,
distancing, yes. And Hello Kitty was in the grass. We have Marilyn Monroe, no mask, but doing a little performance here.
Yeah, I guess this performance used to take place out on the street area in one of the alleys. So it's nice now she has an actual stage, and there's little dots so you can be distanced. And I was so into recording, I wasn't quite standing on my dot, so you had to sort of nudge me over.
Get on the dot, And then Puss in Boots almost missed. You could hear music over here, or else I wouldn't have seen Puss in Boots, who is totally blending in. Like a chameleon.
Like a cat that he is, way off in the bushes.
And then Spongebob Squarepants was in the E.T. area. And then I guess Woody Woodpecker and Curious George and some of them will be up here as well, or are up here at other times. I don't even see, when we go to Universal, I don't even know so many of these characters are here. It's like when I go to Hollywood, they have so many characters.
Oh,
and
yes.
They're just out and about. We've got penguins from Madagascar. I'm sure they're swapping out with somebody as well. We didn't have very much time for characters because of the intermittent rain, but somehow we ended up still seeing a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw the very ending of this
Secret Life of
Pets parade float. What they would do is they would break up the parade floats and they would bring out one at a time for little meet and greets. We'll show more of that later.
But they do that normally too. So that's like the party zone area. And then Beetlejuice was out. He was not wearing a mask on this day, but I know he did on opening day.
Yeah, maybe he had forgotten it. Although the undead may not need a mask.
But he still wore one the next time. So there is Homer Simpson. And if you're a pass holder, they're doing all kinds of pass holder perks, which is nice as well.
I said undead. I think he is dead. Isn't Beetlejuice dead?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't pay that much attention to Beetlejuice.
This is a great shot you got here.
This is Optimus Prime. And actually, I'm not that up on Transformers either, so I had to look up and make sure that was who it is. I know Bumblebee.
Yes, of course.
But I don't know if the Megatron comes out or not. But I came over here to get them. But then I saw Shrek and Fiona and Donkey were also out. And then our friend Craig was in this area as well. Yeah, from the Diz. So, like, in our video, you can hear him talking to Donkey. So, yeah, he's always a lot of fun.
And I should mention one of the things that made this nice was to run into lots of friends again that we haven't seen since all this started. So you saw quite a few people out and about at Universal on this day.
Because this is the big park that everybody is at now. And so, yeah, you have Shrek and then Fiona's behind the bush.
Now, Fiona not wearing a mask, nor is Shrek.
No, well, Shrek would probably not, but Fiona is a face character, and I was surprised she didn't. But I'm not sure about this location. I don't like the bushes. It's like you can get.
Well, she was kind of hiding because Craig was taking pictures. That's what that was.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't really get both of them sometimes at the same time.
And it looks like Donkey has a mask on.
I don't.
Is that not a mask?
I don't think so.
Maybe
I think
that's his face.
Nose.
Okay. Well, this was one of the highlights. The Scooby Gang arriving in the Mystery Machine mobile.
Yeah, Jeff was like, he definitely wanted to get the Scooby Doo gang, and so they're coming here at Mel's Drive-In.
Right.
And so they're going to be all masked, and Shaggy is already there.
Yeah, it's interesting that their masks kind of match their outfit, except for this one here. Daphne, yeah. Like you would think she would have like a green or maybe, I don't know, something that would match the outfit like the others. She
was the one in my Twitter, because that's where there were a lot of comments. They were like, Daphne would never go out like that without a matching mask.
Even I thought that, and I'm not really someone who thinks about these things.
And I'm not sure that they all match, but anyway, they dance, and you can get, somewhat close to them, and it's
there's
fun.
Actually a line, so there's a dot right in the center. So if you want to get a picture dead center, they have it set up where there's a dot set up as a line. Interesting.
I like the way they do it. And
here's that parade we were talking about. They bring out one float at a time every half hour or so, and they just park it, and you can kind of interact, get selfies with the characters.
Well, this is something that they do all the time. It's not like they're just doing it for this. I don't know if they have extra ones. I don't know that. But like we've seen the Secret Life of Pets before. We've seen the Minions before.
But they have canceled the daily parade. So this, they do more of this now because there is no full parade.
I figured that would be the case. They have like 5 different ones where they bring out the floats and the characters, which I think is awesome. And the kids that were dancing, there weren't as many kids as I thought. And
speaking of dancing, by the way, the trolls were in full force.
Well,
Guy Diamond.
Yes.
Oh, he gives us the Guy Diamond specialty.
Yeah, Guy Diamond and Branch were out, and then I assume they swap out with Poppy.
There was another guest that was wanting to know if Guy Diamond actually does his thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case.
I have no idea. I mean, he could do it like once, each time when he comes out, but I actually have no idea. I didn't see any glitter on the ground.
This happens intermittently. It's a little water show they do out in the lagoon.
I thought that was really nice. I had heard that they were doing that. There's a lot of entertainment around the parks. We didn't even end up going on rides this time. We could have done Spider-Man with what it said was a 10-minute wait, but we decided not to the first day.
And this is how we ended up our day. It was so wonderful to both have a delightful ice-cold frozen butterbeer.
And I want another one on the next time. And you take off your mask and you can enjoy it. And
it's very wonderful.
I love frozen butterbeer, so it was nice to be able to kind of go back and enjoy that. Feeling mostly safe. You can see around us. The way we did it, we weren't really around a lot of people too much, or we were just passing them.
Right. I think that was, that was done on purpose, of course. And we didn't attempt to go on any rides, but I've seen that they've done a pretty good job of distancing as far as the queues and the rides and things. So I look forward to trying that, and we'll talk about that next week, how it is for us.
Well, I want to go on Hagrid's especially, and then maybe 1 or 2 other rides.
Right. I cannot wait to go on Hagrid's. I've heard so many good things. Now, this was the most crowded I think we experienced the entire day, and that was leaving because, the parks had closed. We were there till closing at 5 o'clock, and pretty much everybody was leaving at the same time.
It would, and you know what? It still wasn't too bad, especially once we got into the garage.
So now we're going even further back, and we are going to Legoland for their preview event. We had a friend who works there and invited us to a friends and family preview.
We had been invited actually also for breakfast and dinner at the Pirate Island Hotel. We're not dining inside right now, so we declined on that one. But we did take them up. We are pass holders, but this was, again, a friends and family, so we were able to go in a little early. And
it was really nice because there, as you could see, it wasn't very crowded, and I think it was a good way to wean ourselves into going back to theme parks. This was the first major theme park that we had gone to. We ended up going twice to Legoland a few days after this. They had their actual June 1st grand opening. We went to that, and that wasn't very crowded either. So both of them were really delightful days at Legoland.
And Legoland is different in that, unlike Walt Disney World and Universal, they do not require masks. They do encourage them. However, with the encouragement, maybe during the preview, like half of the guests were wearing masks, and during the grand opening, maybe like 10%.
Right. It was very few. One person told us we were the first guest they saw wearing masks all day, and that was a couple hours into being there. So
I mean, I did see guests with masks, just not. I'm not outside. It's not as big a deal. But inside, I'm not going on to rides with guests.
But the Legoland employees were great. I mean, always wearing masks, some with face shields. That part I felt very, very safe. And because it wasn't crowded, it was very easy to distance from those that didn't have the masks.
Right. I mean, you're outside most of the time. You're walking around. And so overall, it wasn't busy. So it was still a really nice day. Both days were very nice.
Right. We had perfect weather, and it was so nice to be back into a theme park again and just be able to walk around and go on rides. I mean, we were there for, I don't know, maybe a half an hour or so, and all of a sudden we're going on a roller coaster. So how cool was that? And we were the very first guests to ride the roller coaster,
the Dragon,
since the Dragon had been sleeping for a while. We'll show that soon. And they also had a little sign that you can say why you're thankful to be returning to Legoland.
But we didn't do it because there was a line, and
Well, plus there was non-masked all around.
Yeah,
there,
so we were thankful to be able to go back and enjoy a theme park again. And again, you can see the social distancing aspect was really easy on this day.
Yeah, Miniland wasn't exactly packed, which was good.
And Legoland usually isn't super busy to begin with. The amount of guests that are able to go in compared to the size of the property, is actually pretty good.
So here we're going into the Lego Kingdoms area, and we're about to go on the dragon.
And I like this ride. Legoland is a fun park. And again, we've been pass holders. We've done media for them since before they opened, but we've also been pass holders most of the time since then. And the dragon, it said 5 minutes. I think we waited a few extra minutes because they were having some issues.
It was they had to reawaken the dragon.
Yes.
He'd been sleeping for a couple months, apparently.
And they probably should have tried reawakening him the day before or something just to kind of get him started.
It was fun that when we were able to, when we were doing this, getting in line, we heard a voice explaining all the new procedures, and it happened to be that voice was somebody we knew, so it made it even more fun.
And on the video on YouTube, somebody mentions his Australian accent. He's actually from England.
Yes,
so, but,
not at all Australian.
But the thing is, I don't always know the difference.
Well, he took it with a big laugh, though. He enjoyed the whole thing. And you could see people were distancing. We double distanced in this case because it was the first.
Nobody was behind us.
Yeah, why not? And they spaced it out. They had dots on, they skipped every other area, so you're not standing next to anybody at any point. So that's really smart.
Yeah, I mean, I was comfortable. Like, you rode this 3 times. I only rode it once. I was comfortable enough going on the coaster.
And there's an interval of 20 minutes or so where they'll stop it and fully clean every cart. And you can see that going on right there. And here we are riding it. And again, this was the very first ride that either of us had done since Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Walt Disney World. That was our last ride before we had the pandemic hit fully.
Right. And so this is actually like a dark ride and a roller coaster in one. So you start out with the dark ride aspect of it, and then you go into the coaster, and it's actually, to me, it's really a fun little, I don't say little, but it's a really fun attraction.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. It's kind of like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in that aspect, where you're getting dark ride and then little coaster. And it's probably the same amount of coaster scariness as a Seven Dwarfs. You know, it's not too crazy. Little younger guests can enjoy it.
I think that this gets more screams than, Mine Train is not intense at all. And not that this is, but it is a little more. And
you can see that they distanced also. They kept carts open. They kept spots open between all of the guests, so you never had to be too close. And, these people were all together, that party of 4 there. So, there's always space between different groups.
Right. And, I really enjoy this coaster, and a lot of it's outside as far as the experience. We didn't do a lot of indoor anything at Legoland.
Ninjago would be
did Ninjago.
One indoor ride. And
after that, I was like, that's it. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that, especially without masks.
Yeah, I think it would be much easier to do anything indoors if they had the mandatory set up. So who knows? I mean, things could even change. Who knows? So we went to Lego Movie World, and the big difference here is they had a big playground, which is right in the middle, and of course that was closed. And also they have a meet and greet area, and I'm sure that's going to be closed unless they come up with something like Universal, where they bring out the characters and meet from a distance. And I would love to see that.
I think that they eventually will, because the characters here are certainly not as important as, let's say, going to SeaWorld or going to Universal or Disney, but I still think that they're kind of an integral part of a day at Legoland.
Oh, I mean, they do have some very, very popular characters, so why not? I mean, I would love to see them do something where they're on a stage, or at least every once in a while, that you can come and get a selfie with them.
We'll see what happens. Legoland, they were the first, they started without... Okay, there are some things that I wish that they thought of ahead of time. For example, when we watched the Six Flags video, they were like, oh, we have touchless bag checks.
Yes.
Legoland opened, again, first, but, you still have the normal bag check.
Right. They're still rifling through your things.
Right. And I don't like that. And also, and I didn't like it before, but I especially don't like it. I don't want that now, all the touching. But also, like the hand sanitizers are all, they're not touchless.
Right.
There's things that they could have thought of and changed. If Six Flags can do it, then Legoland can do it.
Right.
I was very impressed with the video Six Flags put out, which is why I'm mentioning it. I don't know what it will be like in practice,
Right.
but I was impressed at all that they thought of.
And you can see here they're doing the distancing again on the ground. They have it set up where you're not standing next to each other, and it is fully spaced, and it's outside, which helps too. This is the safari ride.
And there was no line.
Yeah, this is a ride that I don't think I've gone on this since opening year, because it's a really slow loader and it's just hard to get on. So it was nice to be able to see it again, and it's a fun little ride. I quite liked it. And what was nice is they actually belt you in and unbelt you. You don't have to touch the belts, and they all have masks with the face shields and gloves. So it's actually easier than normal to get on this attraction.
And I didn't do this. I had forgotten, about all the animals. It's sort of like a jungle cruise safari.
And they all make noise too. It's really fun.
With Legos. I haven't done it probably since the park, I think, opened 2011. And I think that's
we were there opening day,
yep.
Pre-opening and opening. So it was. I really feel like we've been with them through the whole journey. This was the most scariest part of the day, going through Ninjago, because when you got into the queue itself inside, it tended to get really bunched up at the end when you're getting the 3D glasses. And it would have been fine if everybody had masks, but we were the only ones with masks anywhere around us, so that was a little bit nerve-wracking.
And not just the masks, but not everybody was using the social distancing
Correct.
markers. And for me, I don't want to use the word scary, but I was uncomfortable. Going in, you don't really, it says 5 minutes, but you don't know how many people are at the end. And there's a bit of a walk to get into the queue, and you end up in near the loading area. That's the last room, but there's a lot of walking that happens before that, and you just don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know if everybody's going to be bunched up together. You don't know how many people there'll be. And even though it says 5 minutes, that doesn't mean you're going to be in there 5 minutes. We were in there a little longer.
Right. And at this point, things had cleared out a little bit. It's just at the very end, it can tend to be a slow loader. Now we're taking a look at one of the restaurants here. I think it's the Burger Kitchen. And they have gone to cashless only. So your cash is no good there.
It's funny because we didn't even know it was open when we're taking this, but it was open that day. But it was just funny because we're taking all these photos outside, and then we see somebody going inside.
Now, this was always been one of my favorite little rides. It's a charming ride, the boating school. And once again, you can see that there's really no line and there's full social distancing. Again, I don't expect the park to ever be this slow. This was incredibly slow, but it was a friends and family event. So that's why there was nobody there.
There are days that, Legoland is slow. I think as tourism comes back to Central Florida, including Walt Disney World, you're going to see it picking up.
So it had been so long since we've ridden this ride. I forgot you actually had to press the gas and steer the wheel. I was waiting for the boat to go, and the boat's not going. And she's like, "Oh, you have to hit the gas."
I didn't even want to touch the wheel, although I mean they do clean it.
Yes.
I took out a Lysol wipe and I wiped it, and then
But they clean it too after each and every.
That's what I just said.
Right.
That they clean it, and then. But I wanted to clean it as well because I don't know what they're using. Yes, I like extra clean. Just like I go to Publix and I do my own shopping. I've done it the whole time, and I'll wipe with a Lysol wipe where they've already cleaned.
But this was a fun little ride, and I'm so glad that we got to do it. It was very peaceful and relaxing. Again, couldn't have been a better get back into things than going to this Legoland event. So we want to thank our friend. Big thanks to our
Dan.
friend Dan for inviting us. We had such a good time.
I really do enjoy Legoland, but and not everyone's going to agree. You're going to be like half and half. There are some people who won't go out without a mask and don't want to be around people who don't have masks. That's me. But that doesn't mean I want to sit in the house all the time either.
Right.
So we do things that we feel fairly safe at, which again, this feels fairly safe, but like Ninjago, I probably won't do again right now.
Both days we used these far off, out of the way restrooms, which were, in my case, it was great because everything was automatic inside, and you said in yours it wasn't fully automatic, so a little different experiences.
Right, you had to touch everything. So the Cypress Gardens area, this is maybe my favorite area of the park. It is, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Cypress Gardens. That was the park that was here earlier, and it was here since like the 40s. It's been there a long time, and I loved it. And they have these it's just these beautiful gardens that are, I think they're probably on the historic registry.
Very well kept up, by the way. I mean, the park hadn't even officially opened, and everything looks beautiful. The water's going, the grass is perfect. It was just like there was never a slowdown. So I was really, really impressed on how well kept up this area was. And let me say, all that talk about masks, this is the one area where we both took off our masks.
It was hot.
Because it was hot, and we were literally the only ones anywhere near this. So it worked out pretty good.
But I don't know if the government maybe pays for the upkeep here. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to say this is the best I remember it ever looking. It always looks nice, but it really looks so beautifully
Look at the
manicured.
walking over to where the banyan tree is, what a view. It's so peaceful. You can hear the birds chirping. It was just a very wonderful, peaceful experience.
And I don't remember these signs.
I don't either, actually.
I think that these are fairly new, and they give information about like the banyan tree and about the gazebo, and it's just nice to get a little bit of information. This was a seedling, in 1939.
I like how they incorporated little Lego-ness into the signs too, so it all blends in. Of course, they had the deer there, and you hear some more of the path. You could just see how nice and beautiful everything looked.
But there's still areas that are closed off. Like they had opened the historic pool area a number of years ago, but then for whatever reason they closed it not too long after.
It's way in the back. It's hard. Everything has to be right. The water level has to be perfect. Everything has to be good to get there. So I can kind of see that.
But it's been closed for years.
It has. That's a shame. It would be nice if they would reopen the canal boats. That would be very fun too.
But I just enjoy the Cypress Gardens area. So if you go to Legoland, this is worth a walk. It's
don't
really
overlook it.
Furthest part of the park, but it's really nice. And then we had Emmett and Wildstyle, and that is okay.
And we should mention the Pirate Island Hotel is now open.
It opened on June 1st, and we were there for a preview when it was still being built, and we were supposed to do sort of an opening day type of event or preview.
I'm sure that's postponed, but I mean, we have been in a fully finished room.
Yep.
So I mean, I feel like I've kind of seen it, and we had that computer generated flyover, which gives me a very good idea. So I kind of feel like I've toured it at this point.
And if you go to Legoland, if you're going to dine there, really the hotels often have the best food. Like we go to the Skyline, what's it called? The Skyline Lounge or Skyline Bar. And they have such good hamburgers and stuff over at the Legoland Hotel, and it's way better than inside the park. Inside the park's okay, but it's nice and air conditioned.
Well, believe it or not, that is another show.
That is another show.
We want to thank our sponsor, MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel.
I know that there's a lot of people who aren't traveling right now, but there are others who are thinking about it and who actually are. I know somebody who got on a plane, a few people actually, who got on planes and came here for Universal. If you're looking to travel, they can really help you with the knowledge, whether it's Walt Disney World or Universal, or if you're heading to SeaWorld. They can really help you, guide you through that. And I think right now it more than ever is helpful.
Right. And even us who are very, very cautious, we're monitoring the situation. We'd really like to get out to Disneyland at least at some point before the end of the year, especially if that Marvel area opens. And I know our passes will have been extended.
I would love to.
So, if it seems safe, if we can get some direct flights, it's not out of the realm of possibility that even we will fly out to California and go on a trip.
But not yet. I mean, COVID-19 is still here.
Right.
And
high numbers here in Florida, I guess, lately.
Good. It is. It's higher than it was. It's not high compared to some places, but it's on an uptick. So for now, I would not get on a plane yet. But just to kind of watch and see what happens and when it starts lowering and all that.
So next week, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to go to SeaWorld. Hopefully the weather will hold out. We'll make it back to Universal again. I really want to go to Universal again and see some more characters and try some food. Maybe we'll even finally do sit-down dining outside if it looks okay.
And if it's not raining or anything.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be hot.
A lot of variables.
But I kind of want to do that. I would like to do a table service dining outside. I think it's still going to be quite some time before I do it inside.
Right,
but,
absolutely.
Anyway, I guess that's what we're talking about. And
So thanks again for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
have a great week.
And stay safe, everybody.
Yes.